U.S. warned about an attack a few weeks ago from Faituk's U.S. Embassy alert in Russia 2 weeks ago, warning attacks on large gatherings in Moscow. The embassy is monitoring reports that extremists have imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow to include concerts, and U.S. citizens should be advised to avoid large gatherings over the next 48 hours. Look, I don't know anything about what happened. Okay? I don't know anything about what happened so far. It's convenient. It's very, very convenient. The timing of it, everything. Shooting and blast reported. Here's what we know so far about it. Shooting and blast reported at concert hall near Moscow. RIA agency says at least 3 people in camouflage gear opened fire, while TASS reports a blast and a fire. Redditors are losing their minds on all these posts, calling for even more war crimes. I don't get it. Are they saying that like are they happy that Russian civilians are being slaughtered in a terror attack? Like, I don't get it. Yeah, dude. The random Russians that went to a concert are like responsible for Putin's invasion of Ukraine. It's great. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's just so crazy. Photos showed the Crocus City Music Hall engulfed in flames. Videos emerged from the concert hall attack, showing at least 4 gunmen opening fire from automatic weapons as panicked Russians fled for their lives. In one video, 3-minute fatigues carrying rifles fired at point-blank range into bodies strewn about the lobby of the concert hall. The attackers also apparently detonated explosives, as the sounds of blasts could be heard in other videos from the attack. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin called the attack a great tragedy. At least 50 ambulances have been dispatched to the site of the attack. The attackers presumably opened fire at the entrance of the building during a concert using automatic weapons, and then a fire began in the building, said emergency services. Authorities said up to 5 people took part in the attack. Russian media reports that riot police units were sent to the area as people were being evacuated. Likely they had signals intercept indications from ISIS-K of an attack similar as in Iran. They warned them just before that attack too. Dude, I'm trying so hard not to do conspiracy theories on this. I think ISIS-K is just like, I don't know. I feel, I'm not going to say anything. I don't know. I don't know what ISIS Khorasan's backing, where it comes from. It's just very strange. Yeah. The Islamic State of the Khorasan province, right? That's what the K stands for. Very weird. Very weird that they're just popping now. Exactly why you say you don't want to cover breaking news. The worst people take any conspiracy you even mention and blow it up as your take. Yeah, I have no takes on this. I am awaiting further information. We obviously have, unless it's like literally ongoing like Israel pummeling Gaza. Obviously, I'm not going to cover something that is like completely new. My money's on some pissed off Ukrainians, to be honest. No, I don't think that this is like Ukrainian dudes at all. I think it's no. I think in the grand scheme of things, like in the likelihood spectrum, it would be false flag before it would be Ukrainians that are able to like grab a hold of weapons and like facilitate such a massive operation like this. Hasan covers breaking news only when he can clearly and concisely debunk common misinformation going around about that specific news story. Hasan is based. Thank you. I can't tell if people are going to be anti-Russian or anti-Muslim on this one, Lamau, you know? Yeah. The shooting at the concert hall was reminiscent of some of Europe's worst terrorist incidents, such as the attack on the Bataclan in Paris in November 2015. Russians will likely recall the Nord-Ost terrorist attack in Moscow in 2002, where the gunmen took hostages at a theater in one of the worst incidents in the country's history. The Russian news agency 112, which specialized in crime reporting, put the death toll as high as 40 killed and more than 100 injured. It was unclear if police had managed to neutralize the attackers by Friday evening, as emergency workers said they had evacuated 100 people who had been sheltering in the building's basement. An eyewitness told the MASH Telegram channel that there were at least 5 attackers and that they were bearded. They act like trained fighters, the account read. At the moment of entering the building, the guards and people standing at the door were killed. Then they blocked the main entrance. The terrorists are armed with AKM assault rifles, the person said. Some carry unloads with various ammunition. At least 2 of the attackers are carrying backpacks, possibly with Molotov cocktails. Russian authorities had recently carried out a series of raids against armed Islamist militants in the region of Ingushetia, leading to pitched firefights between police and the fighters. Earlier this month, Western countries led by the United States had issued a number of warnings for their citizens not to join public gatherings in Russia. On March 8th, the embassy wrote it was monitoring reports that extremists have imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow to include concerts, and U.S. citizens should be advised to avoid large gatherings over the next 48 hours. The warnings came shortly after Russia said it had foiled a planned shooting by an Afghan group linked to the Islamic State. It was unclear if this was the attack referred to in the warning. More details soon. It absolutely was Ukraine. You cannot say that with a certainty. Ukraine has infinitely more significant things to worry about currently, and I don't know if they have the capability of pulling this off. Whereas a third party, in the realm of likelihood, in the realm of possibility, the most likely would be having, in the realm of possibility, the most likely scenario would be an outside that isn't like an outside group that isn't directly dealing with being Ukrainian and being blown to bits by the Russian forces, and more so like a third party that has genuine interest in opening up pressure to Russia, just like Iran. You know, a third party that has that always somehow suspiciously aligns against America's foreign adversaries, even though they are a terror cell, designated as a terror cell. I don't know. The reason why I don't think it's Ukraine is because this is very different than taking pot shots with drones. And this actually creates more sympathy and gives Putin more of an opportunity to be even more restrictive than he has been thus far, be even more violent than he has thus far. That's why I don't think it would be something that Ukraine would do unless it's like a direct target, like Dugin's daughter. You know what I mean? Like that's an assassination that makes sense, right? It's like we can reach you in your own home. I think that makes sense. This, on the other hand, does not. Ukraine GUR's military intelligence says today's terrorist attacks in Moscow is a deliberate provocation of Putin's security services. We don't talk about it a lot, but since the invasion of Ukraine, many previously invaded regions of Russia have been more difficult for Russians to manage. Relevant? Yeah, I mean, the 1999 Russian apartment bombings are relevant to a certain degree. I mean, if you believe that it's like a false flag operation, as that one was. But you have to look at what the goals are here. You have to look at what like Putin's potential goals might be. But when a situation like this occurs, you just have to look at who's the party that benefits. Who wins, who loses, what are the mechanisms of control. This is how I analyze, this is how I look at things when they happen immediately. Like my first instinct is to immediately go, these are rational actors at play, rational actors involved. So what is the reason? Russia has not been able to focus on the Caucasus in general, like losing control of the Armenia-Azerbaijan situation. I don't even know if they lost control of it, quote unquote, and instead just said to Israel and to Azerbaijan, go off kings. I think they just more so were like, yeah, fuck it, YOLO mode. They just didn't give a shit. Rational actors are a dubious assumption these days, I think. No. Even if like the overall goals of any terror cell comes across as irrational, there is a rationale behind it. You might not agree with it, and I certainly don't in many of these circumstances, but like there's still an action and a reaction and something that is basically like motivating people to behave in a certain way. Part of me thought this could be like the 2004 Beslan school siege where Putin uses to seize more power, but like what is there to left to seize? Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, if it's a false flag, the most likely scenario is probably what Werger was saying as well, which is like losing control over a lot of the territories where there is a lot of dissent. ISIS had longstanding aims to attack Russia since it intervened in Syria and bombed them alongside Assad. ISIS-K is now their most capable force in Afghanistan. They are able to train and act more efficiently without large outside pressure and actively recruit among Central Asian vulnerable groups. I mean, there is motivation. I'm just saying, there's definitely motivation. There's motivation from vulnerable Central Asian groups and dissatisfaction for living under Russian rule. There is certainly motivation for ISIS-K. I think like if Putin were to turn around and be like, this is definitely Ukraine, then you know it's probably not Ukraine. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's likely that Ukraine would do something like this, considering that like I don't see a real motivation for it. Because like they already do pot shots from drones. I think that's like the maximum allotment that they have that they can give to like offensive campaigns inside of Russian boundaries. State Department says it's not Ukraine, so it was definitely Ukraine. No, I think that look, it's not always that the State Department is going to lie. Sometimes they will tell you the truth. It doesn't benefit Ukraine and only hurts their global reputation that they rely on heavily for international support. Exactly.